Check out my interview with Bryce Aaron. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm going to do an interview with you. I just want to learn a little bit more about your acting.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into acting?
A little bit about myself. Well, I've kind of growing up, I've always liked movies, and I always liked watching movies, and I kind of liked the actors in the movies, and so I said, hey, those people in those movies, the way that they inspire me, I want to inspire people in that way. Through performing, through acting, singing, dancing, performing it, whichever.
Do you remember the first time you did? Exactly? When you knew, or
When
when
I
you
knew,
realized, or...
it was in second grade. Some of my closest friends, they were actors, and the way that they were so positive and so nice, I kind of was like, I kind of see how they are acting and how they pursue it. So I was like, hey, I think that would be cool if I did that. So I've always known I wanted to be an actor since I was in about second grade.
Great.
That's been
Great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how did it feel for you?
How did it feel for me to be an actor? It feels good. It feels, I guess you could say, rewarding when you perform and you do a good job. Of course, doing like what I'm currently doing is I'm working on my acting, so I do live theater, so I do a lot of plays and such, and in those it's very unpredictable as to what can happen during a show like that. So some days you may get off the stage feeling like my performance was great, other days you get off the stage and you're like, that was the worst thing ever. But every actor's like that I've ever met, even some of the greatest ones that we know, like Viola Davis, has even said that same exact thing. And I was like, oh, thank God, I'm not the only one who feels that way. But I feel happy and I feel grateful at my performance ability currently right now.
Great, great. So let's talk about the musical side.
Okay.
What kind of musicals do you enjoy performing the most?
That I enjoy performing the most. It's currently, well, I haven't fully been kind of. I do enjoy a more, I guess you could say, serious musical in that, doing those shows. I like being able to act serious in a lot of them. I love doing those ones out of, because I've done a plethora of comedic ones. I would say that 90% of my resume within musical theater is comedic roles, and then there's like that small 10% that's been either not comedic or it's been a much more serious role in those.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Is there a dream role you'd love to play in a musical one day, or?
Yes, I have. My number one dream role is to play Dallas Winston in The Outsiders. Saw it on
Good
Broadway,
one.
front
Me
row.
too.
We saw it, yes, me and my mom, we saw it together. And the gentleman that played it, his name is Joshua Boone. Great actor. He's actually, the instant he walked out on stage, I was like, oh, that's the character that I want to be the most. And there's this one powerhouse emotional performance that he gives before like when an event happens that's very emotional. If you're familiar with The Outsiders, a character unfortunately passes away, and his character has this big beautiful song that he sings where he's just sobbing while singing it, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to just stand on stage and cry while singing a song. Like, that would just be great. That one I would love to play. I'd also like to play Cole House Walker Jr. in a show called Ragtime, which is another serious show that I would love to play. That would be a great one. And I think those two are like my main ones. Yeah.
So how do you balance both acting and singing when preparing for a musical?
How do I prepare them? That's interesting. I like to figure out, usually with acting and singing, it's interesting. A lot of people, it's hard to act while singing. It's really difficult to do that.
Yeah.
It's very difficult
I
to do
can
that. And so
imagine.
what I like to do, I like to figure out the singing first, figure out the notes, so I can get them right,
Right.
and then I'll apply the acting. But sometimes that's not always the case. If it's more of like a dramatic role, let's just say, and there are times where you can prioritize the acting over the singing, which is great that my theater teacher is hard on that, where she will tell us things like, it's okay to not always sing what is the delivered line. You can always just act it, and so how I balance it, I guess you could say, singing, and I balance it. I think I balance them both. I definitely balance more of the acting side. I think I kind of prioritize that a lot more.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Is there a dream role you'd love to play in a musical one day?
Did you already ask me that question?
Oh yeah,
You already
I
asked me that
did.
question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I can add more though. I'd also love to play Sweeney Todd.
No, you know what?
I'd love to play Sweeney Todd. And
Really?
who else would I like to play? Beetlejuice. I actually have a list here. Hold on. Let's go through it. You know what? So I've got dream musical roles. Sweeney Todd. I'd like to do Great Gatsby. I saw that on Broadway. I'd either like to play Nick Cannon or no, not Nick Cannon. Nick Carraway. Sorry, that was funny. I said Nick Cannon. No, sorry. Very similar. Nick Carraway or Tom Buchanan. Yeah. Anyways,
Okay.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So, as far as your journey, what has been the biggest challenge starting out as an actor?
The biggest challenge, I guess you could say it's the acting itself, is because we can always challenge ourselves as actors. We don't necessarily, I think everybody who is pursuing this wants to be the best. And while yes, you definitely want to be the best that you can be, but at the same time, is we're constantly growing and no one is perfect. And so a challenge is, I would say, maybe being a perfectionist myself. I feel like I have to, every time I perform something, it has to be great. Kind of going back to what I said before, not everything has to be so perfect. Because success is not defined by perfectionism. It's defined by, shooting your shot and failing at it and learning from it. And so that's something that every actor needs to hear. That's something that my theater teacher also tells us, fail again, and then get better. So I go, sometimes if I'm in an acting classroom, I go there, I want to fail. I want to get the notes. And so with actors is we need to learn to accept it. So that was a challenge at first. Now I've kind of, I guess you could say that is because I'm still trying to hone in on that and just, don't take things too personally. If you get rejected, rejection doesn't always mean a bad thing. It may just mean that you're not right for that role in that moment. That's another thing, is rejection. That's a challenge. And a lot of we're going to get rejected in this business, and it's going to be hard. And we just have to, keep going, keep pushing. So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me see here. How do you handle like stage fright, nervousness? How do you handle that? I was just curious, like on a side note. Tell me.
I do get nervous sometimes.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I usually do. Depending on like who's in the audience. If I'm told some Disney executives in the office, like which has been told to me sometimes during shows, like, yeah, I remember when I was doing a show, 2 shows actually. I was doing one musical and I was doing one just normal play, one musical. We had a very, very well-known Disney executive in the audience that was friends with a castmate, and so I was like, oh yeah, he's here, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Mm.
And then when I did a recent play, it was like, we have a Disney executive in the audience, so you kind of like you don't know who's in the audience, but I guess with nervousness, that's things that make me nervous. But stage fright, I get the butterflies.
Yeah.
Like
normal.
And my
people,
heart
right?
is going really fast. But then the instant I go on stage, I become the character, and I calm down, and I can just feel the character pulsing through me.
Right.
Yeah.
So walk us through how you prepare for a role, both acting and singing.
Preparing for. So I guess, who could I use? For acting and singing, typically within a musical, I will, with a musical, I will make sure to make my performance as different from other people who have performed that role. I will look at who performed it, maybe on, like, let's just say Broadway, or maybe I'll look at an amateur production of a high school do it, and I'll say, okay, or even the movie, if there's like a movie version of whatever play, whatever show, whatever stage thing, and like if they make a movie of it, like Turning, for example, Raisin in the Sun was a stage show, they made it a movie. So I watch them, I see how those actors do it, and I say, okay, I love what you did, but I have to make it different. Of course, that's a thing that every actor needs to do, is we should never copy the what we see, someone else's performance. You can always take notes from it, take in your inspirations from it, but for the most part, you have to make your own character. And that's what that is one thing that I'm proud of myself for, that I'm grateful that I do, is that I will try to make my characters as different as whatever versions that you may see of that character in my own way.
Yeah.
That's for the acting side, and I've done that basically for every show, musicals and plays. For singing, preparing so we're just recently the actress known as Emma Stone, she made a video where, actually I think it was Emma Stone and it was Tashi J, I forgot her name, but they both are film actors, and they were recently asked, like, hey, you guys should do Broadway, and they were like, no, I don't want to do that. And they were like, why? And they said, because it's to do musicals, it's because, like, to maintain your singing voice for doing like musicals is so hard. I think that, like, if you're someone who is a musical theater singer, they're some of the best that I've seen with, because they have to maintain their voices, 8 shows a week. They have to constantly make sure their voice is good.
Right.
They do things like they go on vocal rest. They'll go a whole day without saying a word, and they'll just drink tea, and they'll like have their they'll just drink tea, and they'll drink water, and they'll drink whatever to make their voice good. And they will do a show at night, and then go back to the real world, but they'll go on vocal rest. And so that's the hardest part, is for me, is having to maintain my voice. And anytime I get sick, even if it's a slight cough, it'll like knock down 2 notes out of your vocal register, and you're just like, dang. So but but that's how live theater is.
Right.
And that's expected. And every person who does musical theater has said, like, yeah, I've had experiences where I've performed sick, or I've performed this way not feeling well. So
Wow, Bryce. I think you probably have something like this. Any funny or unexpected moments that have happened during rehearsal or performance?
Yeah, I have quite a few. I have quite a few, actually.
Well, tell us one.
One Let's see. Do you want to tell one? I have two. One for a musical and one for just a play. We're in a park. Yeah. Anyway, but so in a musical, I was doing this play at my old theater company that I used to work with before I graduated. And the last show I ever did there, it was it was like a Jubilee type thing where it was a show, but what we did is we took songs from a bunch of different musicals and we kind of like sporadically placed them. And what's great is that we brought in Broadway celebrities to come in and be in the show. Thankfully, our director had ties, so he was able to bring them in. And he brought in a woman named Laura Osnes, and she got to play Cinderella on Broadway. She got to play, I think, the lead in Grease, whatever her name is. I don't know where Sandy. She played Sandy, and there's a Bonnie and Clyde musical, and she played Bonnie. So she has quite the rest. She's Tony nominated, wow. And she came down and she was in the show. And our opening night, there is this number that all the men were in, and it was a Guys and Dolls song, and we all go on stage, and halfway through the song the music just like cuts out, and we're all just on stage, and it's just like silence, and we're just like standing there looking around like, what do we do? Thankfully the director was in that song, so he just started saying, he talked to the audience. He was like, hey guys, welcome to the show, blah blah blah, we messed up, let's restart. And so we had to start from the beginning, and we started the song over, and things like that happen. You have music. We didn't have a live orchestra, we just had someone pressing a keyboard to make the song play. So that was a fun one. Now this is a really funny one. So like a couple months ago I did a show called Sweat. Great show. Had a lot of racial injustices. It was a great show. I played this role named Chris, but I remember going on stage, and you were in the audience, and my grandparents were in the audience. Yes, your mom, my grandmother, my grandma, grandpa were in the audience. And it's funny because before the show, she had brought in this big old wheelchair that she was in. And I remember being backstage and then being like, yeah, there's this lady in the wheelchair, and she's running over people's feet, coming to theater. And I was like, yep, that's my grandmother. And they're like, oh no, it's good. But she has this oxygen. I don't know how she feels about me airing this out, but it's funny and I'm going to tell it. But she has this oxygen machine. And I think I don't know what this machine was. It was this little white box. And I remember, because she sat front row, and the thing about where the show is, it's a small theater. It only sits about 80 people, so it's very similar to how a movie theater is, Mm-hmm. Very, very similar. Very quaint. Very quaint. It's very intimate, which makes it feel more real, because you can have more of a connection with the actors. But anyways, she's in front row. She has the oxygen tank. The oxygen is going through, and the machine is so freaking loud, because it's like... Like, you just hear that, right? So I go out my first scene, and it's like, it's just that the whole time, and in my head I'm like, okay, you gotta lock in, because I'm like, the audience has to know, because it's a small theater, everybody can hear it. Everyone on stage can hear it. So I do my first scene. I go backstage, and all the other actors are like, "Who is Darth Vader in the audience?" Like, my castmate, I love her, Stacy. She is hilarious. She's like, "Darth Vader's in the audience," and I was like, "Nope, that's my grandma. She's in the audience, right?" And you just hear, right, and so. Right, and so in Act 2, there is this really emotional scene that I have with my dad, where I confront him about his, like, the substances that he takes in the show. And of course, is like going off, right? You can just hear it. And, I blocked that out of my head, because like, this is a very serious scene. So let me lock in, right? Let me lock into this scene. Let me focus. Let me make this audience feel what she needs to, provide. So I spoke louder so you could hear me over the machine, right? So we get to like the peak emotional part, like of the scene, the part where I'm kind of like yelling, and all of a sudden that little machine just starts going beep 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 beep, like starts beeping, like beep 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 beep, like obnoxious, like beep 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 beep, like beeping like that. And I remember I was looking at my scene partner, the guy who plays my dad, and out of the peripheral of my eyes, I'd be hearing beep 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 beep, and I'm like yelling. I see my grandpa in the audience go, like try to grab the like machine and like try to turn it off, and he's like frantically turning it off, beep, 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 and he like finally gets it off and like sets it there. And in my head, I'm just like, but thankfully, I'm not gonna break. I didn't break. It was at the peak emotional part of the song, so I did not break at all. Did
That's
not
good.
know. So
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
It is what it is. It is what it is. It was funny. It was a really funny.
Well, I'm glad people thought it was funny.
Thankfully, that was like one of the best performances I gave. I think because a distraction was happening, it made me be like, let me focus in more.
Yeah.
To try to grab back the audience's attention from the very obnoxious alarm going off. But I love my grandma. That was funny. Yeah, there's that.
So, is there anybody that you want to work with, like actor, director, or musician? Who would it be?
I guess, I don't know. I think it's working in this industry. It's unpredictable. Like right now, I'm at a very low place. I'm glad I'm at college still, and I'm working in community theaters, and it's just taking baby steps. So you never know who you're gonna run into, who you have a talk with, and you really never know. And at the end of the day, just the people I work with now are enough for me.
That's nice.
So
That was nice.
I don't really have somebody that's big. I just, you never know where the wind's going to take you, especially working in this industry. So,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So where do you see yourself in a few years? Like Broadway or
I don't like to think about
Hollywood?
that. I don't like to think in the future. It scares me too much.
So
Because
think positive.
Right. I don't know. I guess in 5 years where, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
So
It's the beauty of it, I guess.
right. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start acting or musical theater?
I'd say 2 things. I'd say number 1, most important thing is to be respectful at all times when you're working with people. And we as actors, we can sometimes, when we're on a really big high, we can maybe get a little cocky sometimes, and we can get a big head. But the importance is to not develop that. I guess, as my teacher says, not develop that ego. And so it's important to respect everyone in production and to always stay grounded and humble in who you are as a performer. And because at the end of the day, people really want to, not only do people want to work with you on stage, but also people want to have an establishment with you on and off stage. So it's important to maintain that relationship and be respectful. And another thing is that a lot of a career like this takes a lot of time. You never know. Like I don't know. For me, it might take me 50 years. Who knows what could happen at this point. For me, at least, and in my career with this in acting, you never know. So I just be respectful and don't try to rush things. I guess that's what I'd say. So yeah.
Wow, great. Thanks, Bryce. Thank you for the
Thank
interview.
you. No problem.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We did it.
I learned a lot
Yeah.
about acting. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.